It's Fred Bullock. I'm head of marketing for PSG Americas, and welcome to our Fireside chat. In fact, I was kind of intrigued by the title of this session, and I've kind of heard this term many times, Fireside chat, but just as I was coming up here, I thought I'd just go to Google to find out what Fireside chat actually means. So just a piece of trivia, does anybody here actually know the origin of the term Fireside chat?
Wasn't it the Eisenhower, or no?
Close. FDR, yeah. So apparently it was, the origin of the term Fireside chat was that FDR gave a series of 11 radio discussions between 1933 and 1944. And more interestingly was that his first chat was actually about the banking crisis, which seems very relevant to today. So really there's not a lot of structure to this. Hopefully it's going to be more of a conversation where I can learn from you, and hopefully you'll learn some stuff from me. Not going to be about kind of new product breaking news. Hopefully you've already got that already. But just kind of more about what you can expect to see from the Personal Systems Group at HP over the coming months. I thought I'd start out by just giving you a bit of my background so you understand some of the context for why I joined HP. I've been in the technology world for about 25 years now. Actually started out, before that 25 years, I've always been interested in computers, and in fact taught myself how to program in BASIC when I was about 12, and started using the ARPANET when I was about 14. So I've always been a bit of a geek, and I love trying new gadgets, and being at HP, I'm in a kind of a nice position where I get to try out lots of new gadgets and actually provide input to new technology before it sees the light of day. So I love playing with gadgets. Worked at Apple Computer for 12 years, both in Europe, the US, and in Asia Pacific. Learned a lot at Apple about user interface design and the whole kind of user experience from when you actually open up the product and set it up through to ease of use. Then I was head of marketing at Alta Vista, a search engine company. Learned a lot there about things which are very relevant both to me in marketing today and to you as bloggers in terms of affiliates and affiliate marketing, algorithmic search, paid search. Alta Vista was then bought by Yahoo, so I kind of got involved in the very early days of social media and social networking. Did quite a lot of work with people like Howard Rheingold with Smart Mobs, which is kind of capturing the wisdom of crowds, which again I think is very relevant to our conversation today, which is kind of about how technology is being democratized and how marketing is being impacted by technology, and how you can help companies like HP get the word out about all the great things that we have. And most recently I was working with Nokia, who is the world's leading provider of mobile devices. So kind of had an interesting career progression, starting out with mainframe computers, moving to PCs, moving into internet services, wireless devices, and then coming to HP. And HP kind of brings all those things together in some very interesting ways. So HP obviously has a division that's dedicated to personal computing. So I'm head of marketing for the Americas division of that part of HP that we call PSG, Personal Systems Group. HP obviously has a very large business with printers and supplies. So we kind of integrate PCs and printers into an integrated solution. And we also have a very large business that we call TSG, Technology Solutions Group, which is aimed at delivering kind of infrastructure technology solutions for IT departments. So as a very substantial technology company, what attracted me to HP after having worked at companies like Apple and Yahoo and Nokia was the ability to innovate and really drive new technology in a way that can really change people's lives. And so I think there are some great examples of that with things like TouchSmart. So when the TouchSmart technology was introduced, I think quite frankly not even HP saw the huge potential that we're now seeing in terms of how TouchSmart has changed people's lives. I came across a great story last week, for example. In the Bay Area there's a local school called the Hope Technology School, And it's basically a school that is using technology to help kids with special needs communicate and learn. And there was this very touching story about this guy called Jason, who's about 14 years old, and he's very autistic, and he's never actually been able to communicate verbally. And so he's now using TouchSmart, and for the first time he can actually string together a sentence using his own voice. So he can actually hear his own voice, but other people can actually hear him communicate for the first time with his own voice. So that's a great kind of example of how TouchSmart is enabling people to do things that certainly we'd never dreamed of. And so that was one of the reasons why I joined HP, because we have this great breadth of technology solutions, but we're also focusing on how the technology can be made more relevant to people in their daily lives. So one of the things that attracted me to HP is that I think there's a ton of potential that still needs to be unlocked within HP. And quite frankly, I think there's a little bit of, probably get killed for saying this, but corporate constipation in terms of we have so many great things to talk about that...
Is that a technical term?
It's a very technical term, yeah. In fact, I'm trademarking it. But I think we've done a great job. We could do an even better job in terms of telling the world about all the great things that HP has. And I want to spend a couple of minutes giving you some examples of that, but then kind of later on, I'm going to turn the tables and ask you how HP can work with you to kind of help relieve that corporate constipation a bit. So one of the things that I learned pretty early on in my career at HP, which only started 6 months ago, was that we have great battery life with a lot of our notebook products. And quite frankly, a lot of our engineers were very upset that it was a well-kept secret that we had such great battery life with many of our notebook products. And after hearing this 2 or 3 times over a series of several weeks, I started talking with the rest of the marketing team about how we can get the word out about having probably the best battery life in the industry, or if not the best, certainly leading battery life. And so we actually ended up putting together a very short print campaign whose headline was, "Dude, your PC died 5 hours ago." And no prizes for guessing who we were focusing on there. But the reality was that one of our competitors were claiming they had the longest battery life in the industry. And because HP tends to be a little bit more conservative, and we really don't kind of make any claims that can't be substantiated by 100 lawyers, we tend to not be as aggressive and assertive with some of this great information as we should be. So the result of this observation that, in fact, we had 24-hour battery life on some of our products was that we came out with that print ad with the headline, "Dude, your PC died 4 hours ago," or 5 hours ago, because their battery life is actually 19 hours and ours is 24. So that's an example of kind of a much more aggressive marketing that you'll start to see from HP than traditionally that we've done. And it's really kind of an example of the corporate constipation. We have so many great kind of messages like that we just haven't been able to communicate in the past that I'd really like your help with in the future. The other thing that I'm working on is to really help HP change from being what I call an inside-out company to being an outside-in company. And what that really means is that we tend to kind of be very product and technology focused. And that's natural because technology and products are at the heart of our company. But to our customers, our products are actually just a means to an end. And so our goal is to kind of conceptualize, to take our products and to contextualize our products and make them relevant to our customers. And so that really means understanding what the feeds and speeds of our products are and making sure that those are very competitive, but at the same time being able to actually tell a story about why those products are relevant to our customers in their daily life, whether that's an individual consumer, a small and medium business customer, an educator, somebody in government, or somebody in a very large company. And so what we're starting to do is to kind of balance our very good ability to focus on the speeds and feeds with much more of a focus on storytelling. In fact, in the last session you heard Tracy talk about the balance from a very kind of rational communication to much more of an emotional communication. And that's really what we're starting to do as we change our messaging. So, we still need to be very competitive in terms of the speeds and feeds and have, the best technology that we possibly can. But at the same time, we need to back that up with having a great way to communicate the value and the relevance of these products and solutions to our customers, regardless of who those customers are. So as we change the conversation, we're starting a number of initiatives to really change the way that we communicate and to become a lot more outgoing in terms of our communications and a lot more engaging with, for example, the blogger community, who have been tremendously helpful already to us to get the word out about some of the great things going on within HP. But it really starts with our employees. And so what we've challenged our employees to do is every time they're traveling on a plane, for example, and they see somebody that's using a product other than an HP product, to actually go up to those people and introduce themselves and talk about some of the great features of HP products. So we've actually given our employees this, we call it a VIP card. So if you actually strike up a conversation with somebody on a plane and persuade them to actually go and buy an HP product, this actually gives them a $100 discount if they buy the product from the HP website. So it's just a way to kind of recognize either existing customers and say thank you for being an HP customer, here's a $100 discount, or if you're not an HP customer, please give us a try and here's a $100 discount if you buy an HP PC off our website. So it's just one very simple way that we're starting to get our employees to be more engaging with people that they just meet, when they're waiting in line to check into the hotel, or even when they're on an aeroplane and they see people using our competitors' products.
Can I jump in for that?
Please.
I mean, it's an interesting concept. Do the employees get commission on that?
No.
So it's
No.
pure kind of goodwill.
Altruism.
Yeah, I mean, we'd like everybody in the company to be a great brand ambassador for the company.
Okay.
And to be able to kind of tell the HP story in their own way, but also to give people an incentive, to learn more about HP, which means going to the website. And so on that little card, there's the URL for the website, and there's also a unique serial number which gives them a $100 discount. But it all comes back to to storytelling and really engaging with customers. And from a marketeer's perspective, one of the things that is to me very interesting, but also a huge challenge, is that marketing has changed dramatically in the last 5 years. So it's gone from a monologue to a conversation. And a monologue means that you don't need to listen, or you didn't need to listen as a marketer. And that's the way that many people in marketing grew up, and that's the way they were trained, which is that you do market analysis, you come up with a message that resonates with as many people as possible, and then you blast that message out through as many different communications channels as possible. And that was then. Today, 2009, it's very different. It's about establishing a dialogue. A dialogue presupposes that you know the person you're actually communicating with, and it also requires you to actually listen to that person, to respond to them, and to take action based on what you're hearing. And so that's a very different kind of marketing, which really changes the way that marketing happens, and also changes the ecosystem of how marketing, effective marketing works. So in a traditional marketing ecosystem would be advertising agencies, would be PR agencies, and other companies that could package a concept or a message and get it replicated for us. And in 2009, it's a lot more about having that dialogue and creating multiple channels to make sure that the HP message can be taken and contextualized in a very credible way. And so I think that's where blogging plays a very interesting part in the marketing ecosystem, because today we're surrounded by so many commercial messages that we've all kind of created this filter that effectively allows us to block out a lot of the information that marketers are paying a lot of money to try to get into our brains. And so I think one of the things that bloggers can do is have a unique perspective on the world, and to take the HP message and to contextualize that message for the blogger's followers. And so to me, one of the things that's interesting about the whole blogging phenomenon is taking this more unstructured view of communications and providing our story and our messaging to the blogging community, and allowing bloggers to contextualize our message in a way that's relevant to your followers.
Do you, if I may ask, actually I am asking.
Please ask.
On the other side of it, are you guys receptive to the feedback you get? Do you listen, or do you just listen to those parts that seem to go with the corporate flow?
That's a great question. I would say that we're learning to listen. So, there are some great examples of where we have listened, but I'd say as a company we're still learning. I think it's something that blogging is something that we view as being a very powerful multiplier or magnifying glass to our message. And obviously, moving from the kind of monologue where we have absolute control of the message to the dialogue and the dispersion of our message through bloggers, there's a natural concern that our message is going to get changed. And the reality is that it will get changed, so we have to get used to that. We also have to get used to taking the feedback and incorporating that back into our thinking, whether it's product design or even our marketing programs. So I'd say we're learning how to listen, but we're very eager to listen as well. And I think looking at the strength of this new phenomenon with blogging, it means that we can actually get a lot more feedback a lot more quickly than we have in the past. And one of the challenges with doing market research in the past has been that it was a very structured process, and it actually takes a long time to get feedback. So I think one of the things, again, that bloggers can help us with is to get a lot more close to the customer's pulse, as it were, and really kind of get the feel of the market in a lot more real time than we've been able to in the past.